The slam of a door. A young woman storms out, heels clicking like gunshots. Inside, her mother's voice trembles. "We gave you everything, Anna. Why isn't it enough?" Anna spins, eyes cold, dripping with contempt. "Enough? Look at this place. Tiny rooms. Faded walls. You call this a home? It's a cage." Her father lowers his gaze, hurt carved deep into his silence. Neighbors passing outside whisper, shaking their heads. Anna laughs bitterly. "One day, I'll have a mansion. You'll see." But what she doesn't know is that the truth waiting for her will shatter everything. Before we begin, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you more powerful stories. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now, and what time is it there? Anna was 24, but she carried herself as if the world already owed her a crown. Her phone never left her hand. The glow of social media was her lifeline. Perfect smiles, luxury brands, expensive vacations. These were the images she scrolled through every night. The ones she longed to live. Her parents, in sharp contrast, lived in a modest little house at the edge of town. The walls bore the faded marks of years, the furniture mismatched but sturdy, every corner holding stories of sacrifice. Her father had worked endless shifts at the factory, his hands hardened and scarred. Her mother stitched clothes late into the night for neighbors, her eyesight failing but her spirit unbroken. They never complained. For them, love was enough. Warm meals together, laughter shared over simple things, a roof that kept out the rain. To them, that was wealth. But Anna never saw it that way. When friends asked about her home, she changed the subject or lied, claiming her parents were traveling or living in another city. The truth, to her, was too small, too embarrassing to confess. "Anna," her mother would often say, gently brushing her daughter's hair back from her face, "it isn't gold or marble that makes a home. It's the people who love you inside it." But Anna only sighed, her eyes drifting back to the glowing screen in her hand, to a world where everything glittered and nothing was humble. And deep inside, a seed of shame grew. Shame that her family's sacrifices didn't sparkle. Shame that her parents' little home wasn't enough. Shame that would soon drive her to choices she could never take back. The afternoon sun was dipping when Anna arrived with her friends. Their sleek cars lined the dusty street like polished jewels dropped on gravel. Laughter spilled from them, careless and sharp, as they followed Anna toward her house. But before they reached the front steps, she stopped. Her pulse raced. The peeling paint, the sagging porch, the flower pots her mother tended with pride. Suddenly, they felt like marks of shame. Let's just hang out outside," she said quickly, forcing a smile. One of the girls tilted her head. "This is your house. It's cute, like a dollhouse." The others laughed, cruel in their casualness. "Wow, no wonder you never post pictures here," another added, eyes scanning the cracked driveway. Anna's face burned. Yet instead of defending the home built on her parents' sacrifices, she laughed with them. "Yeah, it's small, I know. You should see the inside, though. It's even smaller." Behind the lace curtain, her mother watched, heart sinking. That evening, the family gathered at the table. The meal was simple: lentils, bread, and pickled vegetables, but cooked with love. Her father reached for her plate. "Eat, Anna, you've had a long day." But her simmering shame boiled over. She slammed her fork down. "This is what I come home to. A tiny house, plain food, nothing to show for my life. You've given me nothing. How am I supposed to compete with people who have everything?" Her mother's eyes welled. Her father's hands froze mid-air, his silence heavy. After a long pause, he said softly, "Anna, we gave you all we had. Every hour, every coin, every dream was for you." But she pushed her chair back, fury choking her. "It's not enough. I'll show you. I'll build a better life, without this cage." She stormed out, the front door rattling in its frame. Her parents sat in silence, the sound of her betrayal echoing louder than her footsteps. Days turned into weeks, and Anna's distance from her parents grew like a shadow stretching longer each evening. She stopped visiting them, stopped answering calls. When friends asked, she laughed it off. "They don't live here anymore," she would say lightly. "They retired and moved abroad. They're enjoying life in Spain." Other times, she claimed they were wealthy landlords living quietly in another part of town. Each lie made her feel safer, wrapped in the illusion that she belonged among people who measured worth in square footage and shiny cars. But lies have a way of unraveling. One evening, at a glittering rooftop party filled with chandeliers and silk dresses, a girl with sharp eyes and sharper words leaned in. "Anna," she said loudly enough for others to hear, "I know your family. They live in that little house near the factory, don't they?" The crowd turned. Conversation stilled. Anna's smile froze. "What? No, you must be mistaken." But the girl smirked. "I pass by it often. Blue shutters, small garden. It's not abroad, it's right here." A ripple of laughter spread. Someone chuckled. "So all those stories fake?" Another whispered, "She's been pretending." Their words pierced deeper than any blade. Anna's face burned crimson as the crowd's judgment swallowed her. "Fraud," someone muttered, and the word stuck like in that moment. Anna's pride cracked. Every glittering wall she'd built collapsed around her. She wanted to vanish, to erase the truth of where she came from. As she left the party, humiliation clung to her like a second skin. Rage simmered beneath the shame. She clenched her fists and swore to herself, "I'll never step into that tiny box again. I'll build a life so grand they'll choke on their laughter." But in her heart, she knew she wasn't running towards something. She was running away. Humiliation hardened into resolve. Anna could no longer bear the weight of her small house, her simple parents, her modest beginnings. She wanted a life that sparkled, no matter the cost. Within weeks, she packed her bags and left. The walls of her childhood home, once filled with laughter, now felt like chains she had to break. "I'll never look back," she whispered to herself, slamming the door one final time. It was in the swirl of her new circles that she met Victor. He was tall, confident, wrapped in expensive suits and dripping with the aura of wealth. He drove a sleek car, wore a diamond-studded watch, and spoke with the assurance of someone who owned the world. "You deserve better, Anna," he told her, pouring champagne into her glass. "Stay with me, and I'll give you everything you dream of. Mansions, trips abroad, respect. No one will ever laugh at you again." She clung to his promises like a lifeline. The sparkle in his words drowned out the quiet warnings in her heart, but her parents sensed the danger. One evening, they begged her to reconsider. Her mother's voice trembled. "Anna, wealth without honesty is poison. Please, think carefully." Her father's eyes held pain, but also firmness. "Stay close to us. We may not give you gold, but we give you love that never fades." Anna's face hardened. "Love won't buy me a future. I'm done living small." She turned her back, her words slicing through the air. "You'll regret holding me back." And with that, she walked away, burning the bridge between them with her own arrogance. Stepping into a world she thought was brighter, unaware of the shadows waiting ahead. For a time, Anna felt she had stepped into the life she always dreamed of. Crystal glasses clinked in glittering halls, silk gowns brushed against her arms, and the laughter of high society wrapped her in a dizzying haze. Victor was her ticket to it all. He draped her in designer dresses, whisked her away to resorts where sunsets bled gold into the ocean, and whispered promises of a future filled with power and prestige. "Look around," he told her one night, arm tightening around her waist as music pulsed through the marble ballroom. "This is your world now. Forget the past. Forget them." She smiled, believing every word, but slowly, the shine began to tarnish. Victor's charm revealed edges of steel. He decided what she wore, who she spoke to, where she went. He slipped into her accounts with easy excuses. "It's just a transfer, love. For us, for our future." At first, she ignored the gnawing unease. The luxury drowned her doubts. She told herself it was love, told herself she was finally winning. But at night, when silence fell and her reflection stared back from gilded mirrors, something hollow stared with it. Meanwhile, her phone buzzed with messages she refused to read. Missed calls from mom and dad. Short texts, "We miss you. Are you safe?" Another, "Please come home for dinner. We'll make your favorite." She blocked their numbers, her heart hardening. She convinced herself their love was weakness, an anchor that kept her small. Victor kissed her cheek and murmured, "You're not that girl anymore. You belong to me, to this life." And Anna, blinded by glitter and lies, let herself believe him. She walked further from the warmth of her parents, deeper into the cold grip of a man who smiled, as he slowly drained her soul. But it was late one evening when the mask finally slipped. Anna returned to the penthouse Victor had promised was theirs. The lights were off, the rooms hollow, the expensive furniture gone. Only silence remained. Her chest tightened. "Victor," she called, her voice echoing against bare walls. On the counter lay a single envelope. Trembling, she tore it open. Bank statements spilled out, accounts drained, debts towering in red ink. Every signature was his. Her savings, her future, gone. The truth hit her like a storm. Victor hadn't been rich at all. He was drowning in loans, gambling debts, unpaid bills. She had been his pawn, his lifeline. He hadn't loved her. He had used her. Panic clawed at her chest. She dialed his number, but it was disconnected. She rushed to their favorite places, desperate to find him. But he had vanished without a trace. By the next day, whispers circled through the same circles that once adored her. Friends she had entertained with luxury now mocked her downfall. She was never real, one sneered, living on borrowed clothes and borrowed lies. Another laughed, and no one offered her a hand. Invitations stopped. Calls went unanswered. She was invisible, except for the cruel eyes watching her crumble. Bills piled, eviction notices stamped her door, and soon even the roof over her head was stripped away. With nothing but a single suitcase, Anna walked streets that had once seemed glittering. Now they spat her out. Merciless and cold. One night, she sat on the curb, rain soaking her clothes, mascara streaking down her face. The taste of humiliation and regret was bitter on her tongue, and for the first time, the image of her parents' small, warm home filled her mind. The home she had mocked, the home she had left behind. Tears spilled as the truth cut deeper than hunger. The only people who had ever loved her, she had betrayed. Days bled into nights, and Anna found herself drifting like a ghost in a city that no longer welcomed her. The luxury clothes she once flaunted were now wrinkled reminders of her fall. She called the people she had once entertained, people who once laughed at her jokes over wine and candlelight. "Please, I just need a place to stay. Only for a night," she whispered into the phone. But her messages were read and ignored. Her calls rang endlessly before being cut. Her so-called friends had vanished faster than Victor. She ended up in a rundown motel on the outskirts of town. The carpet smelled of mold, the walls stained with years of neglect. She curled up on the creaking bed, clutching her knees to her chest as the neon light outside flickered through broken blinds. For the first time, her mind wandered back to her parents' home, the worn couch where she had curled up as a child, the kitchen filled with her mother's laughter, the garden her father watered every morning. She had scorned it, ridiculed it, abandoned it. And yet, compared to this hollow place, it felt like paradise. Shame cut deeper than hunger. She pressed her face into her hands, tears spilling. "I betrayed them," she whispered into the silence. "The only people who ever truly loved me. And I turned my back." Meanwhile, word of her downfall trickled back to the neighborhood she had once tried to escape. Old neighbors shook their heads on doorsteps, whispering in hushed voices. She thought she was too good for them, one muttered. "And look at her now," another replied, sighing. "Poor Mr. and Mrs. Ramon. After all they sacrificed for that girl." Their pity mingled with judgment. And though Anna could not hear their words, she felt the weight of them pressing down, crushing her pride. Alone, penniless, and broken, she had reached the bottom of the very pit she had dug with her own arrogance. Cold air stung Anna's face as she walked the long road back to the street she once called home. Her shoes were worn, her clothes damp from rain, and her stomach ached from hunger. Every step felt heavier than the last, weighed down by shame. The houses grew smaller and older as she neared the edge of town, but the one she sought loomed before her like a memory she had tried to erase. The small home stood just as it always had. Blue shutters, faded paint, the garden neatly tended. She stopped at the gate, trembling. Her throat tightened. What if they hate me now? What if the door stays closed? She raised her hand to knock, but froze. Tears blurred her vision. Her pride, once a shield, now felt like a chain around her neck. The door opened before she could touch it. Her mother stood there, eyes glistening with tears that spilled freely down her cheeks. Behind her, her father's figure filled the hallway, silent but steady. Anna fell to her knees on the step, sobs racking her thin frame. "I don't deserve forgiveness," she choked out, covering her face with shaking hands. I've ruined everything. I betrayed you. I don't even know who I am anymore." Her mother knelt beside her, wrapping trembling arms around her daughter's shoulders. "You're our child," she whispered, her voice breaking. "No mistake can change that." Her father stepped forward, placing a rough, warm hand on Anna's head. "Come inside," he said quietly. "You're home." For the first time in years, Anna felt the weight of her arrogance slip from her shoulders, replaced by something heavier, regret, but also something softer. The faint stirrings of hope, the warmth of the small living room wrapped around Anna like a blanket she had long forgotten. The familiar scent of her mother's cooking lingered in the air, and the hum of the old ceiling fan filled the silence. She sat at the edge of the couch, trembling, unable to meet her parents' eyes. Her father set down a steaming cup of tea in front of her. His hands, rough and scarred from years of labor, trembled slightly as he spoke. "Drink, child. You must be cold." Anna's lips quivered. "Aren't you angry with me? After everything I said, after how I left, why would you still care?" Her mother reached across the table, taking Anna's hands into her own. "Because you are our daughter. That is enough." Tears welled in Anna's eyes. The simplicity of their love cut deeper than any insult she had once thrown at them. Her father rose and walked into the back room. When he returned, he carried a worn leather envelope. He placed it gently on the table. "This," he said softly, "is for your future. We saved for years. It was meant for your education, for whatever life you wanted to build." Anna opened it with trembling fingers. Inside were neat stacks of savings, untouched, waiting all along. Her breath caught in her throat. The irony pierced her. While she had been chasing false riches in empty halls, true wealth had been sitting quietly under the roof she had despised. Her chest heaved as she broke into sobs. She buried her face in her hands, crying not just for her mistakes, but for the love she had failed to see at last. She lifted her head, whispering, "I see it now. This was the treasure all along." Anna's journey revealed a truth that no mansion or diamond could hide. She had chased illusions, blinded by arrogance, only to find herself broken and alone. Yet in the end, it was the embrace of her humble parents, the very people she had mocked, that gave her the treasure she sought all along. True wealth is not measured in marble floors or glittering gowns, but in love, humility, and family. This story reminds us that arrogance blinds, but kindness redeems. If it touched you, share it with someone who needs this message today. And don't forget to subscribe to Truth Prevails for more powerful stories.